All right, everybody, and welcome back to Lazat Baseball here on YouTube. You're listening to the voices of Richie Pagnotta and Nick Giamonti. Richie, how's it going today?
Yo, I'm good, man. I made myself a kick-ass lunch today, and I'm really proud of it. Super easy. It's like this shrimp and rice thing, super
Oh,
good.
yeah, you sent me a picture. That looked really good.
Yeah, it was good. But yo, I mean, I don't know. I'm happy because we had the MLB draft, and I'm like really upset because of what's been going on in baseball the last day, 2 days,
Yeah,
three
we have
days.
a lot to talk about today of
Yeah,
what's been going on in the world of baseball and the draft. So,
yeah,
one good thing and one bad thing.
yeah. So, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Just got back from work. Just crushed some Taco Bell.
Awesome.
Not a sponsorship. I just like Taco Bell.
One day we'll get the Taco Bell sponsorship, and it'll be the
One
best
day.
day of our lives.
Yeah.
All right, let's just jump into the draft. So you look at what happened. I mean, you got to remember the Astros forfeited their first and second round pick, and the Red Sox forfeited their second round pick because of the sign stealing scandal from 2017. But
And 2018 with the Red Sox.
yeah, thank you. But we had a really fun draft. It was a real good time. Nick and I watched it together, had a lot of fun.
Ate some good
Um,
pizza.
had some great pizza.
Oh,
Uh, and
Umberto's and Wonton.
oh yeah. But yeah, we'll start things off. I know we got a lot to talk about, and let's just jump right in. The Tigers had the number one overall pick, and they took this slugger Spencer Torkelson. I know you like him a lot, Nick. So what do you think about this pick?
Honestly, like I was saying before, when we were talking before, I said this is a really big pickup for the Detroit Tigers. I mean, we're both gonna touch upon different players and what we think they're gonna do for teams. I actually focus on the first four mostly because that's the Tigers, the Orioles, the Marlins, and the Royals, who haven't really been the best the past couple of years in the standings in their league. So I think that them picking up the third baseman slash first baseman, on one website it's the third base, the other one actually says first base, so maybe he can play, both.
Yeah, I think the Tigers
Um,
they drafted him specifically for third base. He
yeah,
played
he's
first
from
base
Arizona.
in
Yeah, he's
school.
from Arizona State. He could probably play both, but they did
Yeah,
specifically draft him for third base, and I think it's a big pickup for them. I mean,
huge.
I think what do they have? Miguel Cabrera, who he doesn't play third, right? He plays
He's their first
first
baseman,
baseman,
but
DH.
he's getting old.
Yeah, I think it's time that the Detroit Tigers start to do, in a sense, what the Yankees have been doing the past couple years, where they're starting from fresh, and instead of being an older team, I think that they need to start kind of clearing house and taking from their farm system and taking from this guy. I feel like this guy himself can definitely be a big impact on the team, especially since he hit a lot of home runs last year.
Yeah, I mean, it
Um,
was last year he hit what was it? 'Cause he hit like 48 over 2 years, and
yeah,
then this past season they only got through 12 games and he hit 5 home runs in 12
mhm.
games. That's awesome. That I think he's a great pick for them. Like he's going to anchor in the middle of their lineup and make a really smooth for transition from Cabrera to him. They're still going to have that power bat. I'm looking at Fangraphs. They got him at 65, 70 raw power. Like that's just insane.
And he's young too. He's 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, and they rank these out of a 20 to 80, so it'd be 65, 70. That's insane. That's dope. Um, and he's gonna be a decent hitter. He's probably gonna hit 270, 280.
Mhm.
He's not gonna steal you a bunch of bases. His arm is average. His fielding's average, a little bit above average. But this guy's gonna come in. He's gonna hit you 40 home runs a year.
And
He's gonna be a monster.
his MLB player comparison is actually Luke Voigt because they had like the same
Yeah, I saw
type of body build.
Voit and what the hell's his name on the Mets? Why can't I think of Pete
Oh,
Alonso?
Pete Alonso. Yeah.
Completely blank. Yeah, they're saying he's a like cross between the two of them, and that's insane.
I mean, like this isn't necessarily like the Tigers will keep him. It's not 100%. I'm sure they will because
Yeah,
he's
probably.
one of the best prospects out right now in the
Yeah,
draft. So
right.
I'm pretty sure
That's
they
all.
will hold on to him.
The
But
only way I see them getting rid of him is if like he's constantly injured, doesn't pan out, or
yeah,
they get offered some like insane mega deal. I don't see them moving him at all. Like I mean,
yeah.
he's the number one overall pick for a reason. This
But
is
as
somebody
long
you
as
build your franchise around.
he stays healthy, can play well. I can see him hitting a lot of dingers at I believe is Comerica Park is Tigers, or am I thinking Chicago?
No, I'm pretty sure it's Comerica.
Comerica Park. Yeah, I think he could be. definitely game changer at third base, and then their lineup. Maybe if he hits pretty well, his first year up, his rookie year, maybe he could be like a 5 or 6 hitter in the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be a powerhouse, and as long as he just keeps progressing, we'll probably see him. If we're lucky, we'll see him in the next 2-3 years, and he'll come in and he'll do what Judge and Alonso did and just go for 50 bombs as a rookie. But
I saw a couple people saying like, "Oh, he can come up this year," but one, that's too soon, and two, we don't even know if there's gonna be a season, which
yeah,
is a later topic, but
yeah,
probably come up next year or maybe in 2022 he'll be up.
yeah,
I'm sure he'll get a spring training invite maybe.
yeah. And I know you like the Orioles pick Hurston Kerstad.
Yeah,
Kerstad.
yeah, he's an outfielder, and that's definitely what I think. The Orioles they've been slacking in a lot of stuff lately. Between their pitching, but like last year their defensive has been really very sloppy, very sloppy.
Yeah,
And
they were
I
just an
don't,
all-around bad team.
yeah, I don't know specifically what position he plays in the outfield. It's just listed as outfield.
Yeah,
But honestly, he might be versatile and he could play all over the place.
yeah.
But I mean,
They had him as a center fielder, so
the thing about Cameron Yards' right field isn't that far away. It's not. It's not like it's Yankee Stadium where it's close, but it's not like a ridiculously far outfield. So I mean, if he can rob some home runs, that'd be great too.
yeah.
Especially in like right center, they have like the lower fence.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's
Also,
different,
I misspoke. He's a right fielder, not center fielder.
oh, he's a right fielder. Oh, perfect then.
I
Okay.
misspoke. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what his arm is. They have him listed as 50 out of. You said was 75 was
80. It's out of 80. They have it listed as 50-50. He's got an average.
yeah.
He's an average guy. Like the best thing about him is like he can turn into a power hitter. He's got like raw power, and he's gonna hit for similar to Torkelson. They got him 35, 55. The only problem here is the Orioles had the second overall pick, and Fangraphs has him listed as the seventh best pitcher. And I mean, if you look around on the
You
web,
mean
you'll
outfielder?
find. Yeah, thank you, outfielder. But if you look around online, like you're gonna find he was a middle first round pick. Like he was a reach. The Orioles had the second pick, and they had so many holes on this team. If you wanted to take an outfielder, you could have taken Austin Martin, Zach Veen. You want infield, you could have taken Nick Gonzalez or Ed Howard. There were all these players who could have come in. They could have been better. And honestly,
Well,
I
they
would have
have
liked
his
to see.
arm listed as 50-50 right now.
Yeah, but he's not somebody you're going to build your team around. He's going
No,
to be
I'm not
a
saying he's going to be a team builder, but
he.
he's
But when
definitely
you
a
have the
step.
second, but when you have the second overall pick, you're trying to grab someone who you're going to build your team around. That you want.
That's true. It's not
Yeah,
like the Tigers because that's someone you could probably build your team around.
of course, Torkelson's
Spencer.
going to be a major guy you build your team around. And I know last year they got Adley Rutschman, or the year before that. He's turning out to be phenomenal. But I really would have liked to see them grab a pitcher. I would have liked to see them grab Max Meyer or Ossalese. I would have liked to see that. But Kerstad, it's like he's got the power potential, but I think it's a reach. I think it was taken way too early. I think they could have done better there. Like I mean, he projects he should be
Yeah.
a solid player, but I just don't see him as somebody you build your team around.
Well, what brings us to the next person, which is the Marlins. They picked up Max Meyer from Schools, Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think that was a pretty good pickup for the Miami Marlins, and I think they have been struggling the past couple years, especially with pitching.
Yeah.
I don't really know all the big names that are left in their pitching staff.
Yeah, no, I mean, they losing Jose Fernandez
Yeah.
screwed them, and then the massive sell-off. And I understand the point of the sell-off; it's just stupid. Also, like you had all these potential players, and you could have been a consistent contender, and
Yeah,
then
I
you
think the
sold it all.
Marlins could have been a decent team, but they traded J.T. Mule, Giancarlo Stanton, Christian Yelich. Pretty sure D. Gordon was on that team too at one point.
Yeah, D.
He got
Gordon,
traded away. What's his name? It's
Ozuna, Ozuna.
Hechavarria. Never pronounced
Yeah.
his name right. He was on the
Um,
Yankees last
uh,
2 years ago.
catcher they just sent to catcher they just sent to the Phillies.
Yeah, J.T. Mule.
Yeah, him. They had a solid team,
They
but
did.
they got a massive rebuild out. They clearly couldn't afford everybody, but I like Max Myers. I mean, he's got a really nice fastball. It's between 94 and 98 miles an hour. He's got a wipeout slider. And then he's got a solid changeup, and his command's okay. The only problem is I don't know if that's really gonna solidify him as a starter.
Well, he's also listed as number 8 in the ranking
Yeah, yeah,
when it
it's
comes
eight
to pitching.
overall. There's a couple people that I'd rather take. Like, listen, I'd rather take Asa Lacy. I think he was the best pitching prospect in this class, and the fact that he fell to 4, I think the
Well, he
Royals got a steal.
so on Fangraphs he actually tops at 101. So
Yeah,
he can hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but he sits between 94, 98, like you said.
that's why I think he's going to be
Um,
better suited as a relief pitcher. And I think you don't take a relief pitcher third overall.
he doesn't have a curveball though. He has fastball, slider, changeup, and
It's just his command.
CMD. Oh yeah, sorry, that's command. My fault. My apologies. So he doesn't have a curveball, but his command is. It
It's
looks
okay.
okay. I mean,
It's average.
if you're gonna throw high 90s, you have to have constant command. I mean, even Chapman falls in that problem sometimes. I mean, he's been a veteran at this point. He does hit 100, like 605,
Yeah.
and he can get it down the middle, but he does have the command issue. So as long as this kid can keep his command or get his command to be better than what it is, I think he could definitely be maybe in a couple of years if he stays healthy. You know, when he hits maybe 23, 24, because he's 21 right now, maybe he could be an ace or your second man in your rotation.
Yeah, I think that his ceiling is a middle of the rotation starter, but I think he'd be best suited out of the bullpen. I mean, when you're coming out of the bullpen, you're throwing 98 to 100, like that's just fire, it's gas. Then you got a nasty slider that's going to keep
Yeah,
people off balance. Like he has the potential to be like the next Chapman. Chapman with that crazy fastball wipeout slider, and he's got a decent changeup.
yeah. I don't. It says on here right hand pitcher, so I don't know if maybe he's just been playing all different positions in college. But yeah, like you said, I would keep him in the bullpen um instead of like I said as a starter at first. And I would just him in the bullpen or like Mariano Rivera before he was a closer, he was a reliever. I think he started maybe once,
Yeah,
but put him in the bullpen, see how he is. If he can last more than 2 innings, then let him start a game, see what he can do. If not, then if he can get the command and the control, then make him
yeah.
close it.
I mean, I think he's gonna wind up being pretty good for the Marlins, but again, like I'd rather have taken Asalasi over him. I think he has this stuff to be one of the best. And you know what? Let's just get into him right now because I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah,
Royals at the 4th pick got the best pitcher. Why he fell after 2 and 3, I don't know. But they got the best pitcher. They're already comparing this kid as the next Kershaw. They're saying that he's got a crazy fastball. I shouldn't say crazy. It's between 93 and 96. It's just solid.
yeah. But they gave him a
Both
60 out of
solid.
65 on it though, so
Yeah.
I think
It
his
tops out at
projection for it.
98. That's fine. He's got a nasty slider, and then he's got a sick curveball. It's like a great 12 to 6. It just the bottom drops out, and it's not as good as Kershaw's, but it's like the best one out of the whole draft class. I think he's got some really solid stuff, and then on top of it, he's got a solid changeup. There's nothing about this kid that's subpar. Everything's at least above average or excellent. I think the Royals did a fantastic job taking him. They didn't have to do anything. They just watched him fall, and they reaped the joys. So the joy, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying. It's fantastic. They have a future stud, and he's really going to help turn this franchise around.
Yeah, honestly, out of most of the prospects that we've seen, he might. I can predict out of it probably won't happen, but in my opinion, I can predict that he could be one of the first prospects to actually come up into the league.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. No, I just hope that they don't rush him because I mean he's still 21. I just hope that the Royals don't rush him because the last thing you want to do is rush a young pitcher and then ruin his confidence and then he fans out. Like
Well, especially if he has like a nasty curveball, you don't want to bring him up to the league if he's not ready, and then
exactly, and then he
blow
just
his arm out.
not only that, it's just T-ball for batters,
Yeah,
a curveball or a slider that just doesn't break. That's scary, but I think he's going to be fine. Just give him a few years. So now I know you wanted to focus on the top 4, but I think that the Blue Jays really, really got a great pick out of Austin Martin.
the shortstop. Is
Uh,
it shortstop?
yeah, yeah. So he's coming out of college, I believe. I think from Vanderbilt. Let me double check that. You're coming
Yeah,
out of
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt.
Hmm.
Also, they have sick jerseys in Vanderbilt. I love them.
Well, you got to talk about your highlighter too of what team you got bought that from.
Oh yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so Martin, Fangraphs I got him as a center fielder, but I think he was drafted as a shortstop. The dude's just a solid hitter. Like he's above average everywhere. He was already deemed like one of the best pure hitters in the draft coming into it, and the only thing that really separated him and Torkelson was Torkelson just has massive power. And from what we've seen over the last couple years with Judge and Stanton and Alonso, like power's huge. Like
Yeah, he's
Stanton,
also 220 pounds and he's 6'1".
yeah. And you look at Judge, you look at Stanton, you look at Alonso, and all three of those teams just rode the power bat of those players into the postseason.
Yeah,
Or even just close to. I don't think the Marlins made it when they did. And I don't remember if the Mets did last year. I think they were like close. Or
to
the
what made the playoffs.
yeah,
I don't think either of them made the playoffs last year.
yeah, but they kept them in the race.
Yeah, they were not in the race, but
Yeah,
I think they fell short.
yeah. But I think Martin's just going to be one of those solid hitters that we're going to see who hits consistently 300, 25 plus home runs, might steal you 20 bases. I'm really excited for him. And as a Yankee fan who's going to have to watch him in 2-3 years just run all over us, I'm not really too happy about that. But you plan him, you pair him with Vlad Jr. and I'm excited. That's going to be a really really fun team the
Yeah.
next few years.
Also, really quick back to Asa Lacy.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'4" and 215 pounds, so
It's power.
that is
Just
a
power.
lot of leg power right there coming off of him. But yeah, I
Put
think
20
you're
pounds
right.
on him. Just
I
put
think
20 pounds.
Austin Martin is definitely a great pickup as a
Yeah.
short
He
as
went
a
fifth
center fielder for
overall.
them.
He was the second best hitter. He went fifth overall, and you had Kerstead go in front of him. And I mean, you had Myers and Lacey go, which I think is fine. But he was the second best hitter in the whole draft. And
Yeah,
he falls to 5. It's fantastic. It's they did a really really good job, Blue Jays. Um, and I know you want to talk about Austin Wells, but let's talk about the player who went before him for New York, Pete Crow Armstrong. Now, I know a lot of the Met fans are still a little bit sour over trading Jared Kalenic, whatever his name was, last
who?
offseason. He was a prospect that they did for the Cano and Diaz deal.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah, he was like the headliner, and Met fans really weren't too thrilled, especially after how bad the closer was. But
yeah.
whatever.
Oh, Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, so they went and they drafted Crow Armstrong, and when I was first looking at him, like he's gonna hit for average, like he doesn't have that much power. Then I'm like, oh, damn, like this guy's fast, and he's got the best fielding he's the best fielder in the draft. I think the Mets, they're a real fun team just to rag on because they play second field to the Yankees. They're cheap. They have terrible deals. I think they just had to pay that. Who? What's the contract? Who do they have to pay like once every year for 20 years? I can't remember his name right now. But it's a really, really bad contract that they made in the 90s, and they're still paying for it today. Um, they're just a poorly run organization, and Brody came in and he really is starting to turn things around. And people laughed at him because he seemed like this like California hippie type guy, but he should get some credit here. He got the Mets, Crow Armstrong, and he's going to be their center fielder for years to come. Solid arms, solid range, and he's just fast. He's going to be their leadoff hitter. Maybe he'll hit you 15 home runs if you're lucky, but he'll probably hit you 300 to 310, and he's going to steal you like another 20, 30 bases. I think he's going to be a real fun player to watch. And, pair him, you got Alonso, you got Neil Walker, you still got DeGrom and Syndergaard. You have a solid base. They're trying to get Cespedes back. There was talk he'd be ready for this year, but looks like we're going to be waiting to see Cespedes next year.
It's been a while
The
since we
Mets
saw
are a
him in the league.
solid team.
What? What'd you say?
You're lagging. I didn't hear anything you
Uh,
said.
what was the last thing you
You like
said?
froze.
The Mets have a solid team.
Yeah. I mean, between Cespedes, you still got Cespedes, you got Alonso. Now you got this kid in a few years. You got Neil Walker. You got Syndergaard. You got DeGrom. You got Diaz,
Yeah,
who
if
you hope
Alonso
can
could have a
rebound.
repeat season.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I
Syndergaard's
don't
not
see
there
why
anymore.
not.
Syndergaard's out for the year.
It's not for the year, but there's no baseball this year. So I'm not really
But
worried.
he might still be out a couple months of next year because they announced him late for this year. Whereas, I
Yeah,
mean, hey, if he has an Aaron Hicks type of surgery where he can bounce back quick, because Aaron Hicks is already taking batting practice,
didn't
then
he get
that's
Tommy?
great. I mean, obviously they're two different specs.
Isn't
One's
Syndergaard getting Tommy John?
yeah, they both got Tommy John. I mean, one's a center fielder, one's a pitcher, so it's
It's
different
so
recovery.
different for a hitter to come back from Tommy John.
Didi
Yeah,
Gregorius came back from it.
yeah. I'm not worried about him coming back from it. I just like he's gonna be out for all of this year. He probably won't be
And they
back
traded
until
Wheeler too into the Phillies, so it just really
they let him go
depends.
in free agency, which was dumb. But I think the Mets have a solid core, and I think they're gonna keep competing and they're gonna really work out. And I think that Crow Armstrong's a really really good pick for them. And I
Yeah.
know you really like the Yankees pick Austin Wells. So what do you want to say about him?
Yeah, I mean, I keep seeing people all over the line saying the legend Austin Wells. Let me just say something. Look, he might be a great player, but he's got a long way before he becomes a legend. I mean, there's players in the Yankees right now who still aren't legends yet.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't just name someone a legend just because they got drafted to the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees might not even keep him; they might just trade him. You never know. I know he's going to be a legend of the Cubs or the White Sox. That's
hey
hey,
man, look
but
at
he
the
still might be a great player, and I think that it was a great pickup for the Yankees. I know they have Kyle Hish. I'm gonna butcher the last.
Higashioka.
Yes, he's gonna be the backup catcher this year. They're gonna have Sanchez behind the plate. I shouldn't say this year. That's gonna be the catcher, the two catchers right there. Whether it's this year or next year, but say Sanchez gets hurt again, then that makes Kyle the everyday. You don't have Austin Romine anymore. Austin Romine is now on the Tigers.
I
So
love
who
Romine.
is your backup catcher? I mean, I know they signed Chris Iannetta from the Rockies on the offseason. I haven't heard any news from him, so I don't know if they officially gave him a contract or if they put him down to minors, if he made the 40-man roster. But if he's not there, and this kid, if you can make this kid ready, then he could come up, have a rookie year, and then show what he's got. You know what I mean? Until Sanchez gets back, he could be the secondary catcher. He doesn't have to play all the time. I mean, if Kyle can do it, then have him like one game every week or two and see how he can do. But I think the Yankees actually did need a catcher at this point, someone who's young, someone that they can train, instead of just going out and signing 1-year contracts of random catchers who are old. I don't really feel that is gonna work. I think you need someone who's gonna be homegrown, kind of like Gary Sanchez was when he was in the Yankees organization for a couple of years and they brought him up.
Yeah, I get all that, but there's a lot of things I disagree with. They already have a young catcher in their system, and unfortunately, he's gone through some crazy injuries. 2 years ago, they drafted, I think his name was Anthony Volpe,
Mm-hmm.
switch hitting catcher, and he was in college or high school. He was a switch throwing pitcher. Like he could throw the ball with both hands. He could swing the bat on both sides. Like, and he was like going to be solid. Unfortunately he broke his kneecap or something like that. Fouled a ball off of it. I think he tore his ACL or UCL or something ending in an L. One of his ligaments. He's unfortunately gone through some tough times and been hurt. So well as it makes sense in that aspect to take him that you have a solid backup just waiting, but he doesn't wow me. I mean, you're not going to get a wow type player at 28 overall. Um, but there's also talk that the Yankees don't even plan to keep him behind home plate.
He's also listed as a first baseman.
Yeah, so there's talk that they might flip him to first. They may even throw him in the outfield. But I mean, look, Bryce Harper came out; he was a catcher, and they put him in the outfield
Yeah.
because they didn't want to ruin his career because of his knees. So maybe
Let's go
that's what it
further
is.
back. Jorge Posada was a second baseman,
Yeah,
and the Yankees changed him to catcher during spring training.
yeah. So it's just they say he calls an okay game, and they're saying it's something that can be worked on. And one of my favorite things about Sanchez is he's a really, really good pitch framer, and he gets a lot of calls and a lot of other catchers don't get. And the pitching coach they brought in is really going to help him improve upon a thing that he's already great at. So they're saying that this Wells guy is not going to be so great at that. And on top of it, they're saying like with the future of robot umps and electronic strike zone, or whatever they want to call it, um, it might be a problem. So he's probably better suited for first base or the outfield. He's got some power. He's probably be a guy who hits 275 and maybe hits you 20 home runs. He's got decent speed. He's just an okay player. He doesn't wow me, but it is what it is. And real quick, I'm going to get into two of the picks I think were the dumbest picks in the draft. All right, let me make sure that I get everything right. So the Red Sox picked at 17. They drafted second baseman out of high school, Nick York. He, I don't really know why they took him. He's ranked 139th overall. This was the 17th pick. They could have gone in a number of directions and gotten some kind of value, something that would make sense. So the thing with baseball that's really difficult to understand and it's very confusing, every draft pick has an assigned value, and you can go up to 5% over it. And anything above that, then you like forfeit future draft picks. But you can also sign players for under that. And whatever, say that the player's worth let's say what is this, the 17th draft pick. Let's just say that draft pick's value is $5 million. You can sign him to a $2.5 million contract, and that $2.5 million you save, you can allocate to other players that you draft in the second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. So that's how that works. When they took him at 17th overall, that's what everyone was going to happen. The Red Sox then played a very safe draft. They didn't overdraft anybody. They didn't take anybody who was a big steal or they had to compete with other offers or the guy might have gone back to college. They didn't have to worry about that. So to take this kid, it's weird. Now, ownerships come out and they said, this kid's got a great bat. We love him. We can't wait to see what he's going to do. He's going to be, just fantastic. I don't see it. I think it's a reach. They could have done way better. There was so much more value on the board. They could have taken him in the second, third, fourth round if that's what you're really going to do. But then the Rangers. Sorry, I'm so flip and flop between football and baseball lately. But the Rangers in the second round, they went and they drafted Evan Carter, who wasn't even part of Baseball America's top 500. What are you doing? It's such a waste of a pick for team like these picks are gold. Not all of them turn out to be fantastic, and there's a lot of them that are going to bust. I mean, look at the Yankees who have had prided themselves on like such a prolific farm system for the last few years. And Brian Cashman traded them all away, and every player they traded away wound up sucking, and we got so much value out of it. So I love it, but you never know with these picks, and that's the thing that people are always like, just trade the player because you don't know who he is, and then take the established vet and do that. And when teams are doing this, and you're taking a guy that's not even top 500, it kind of like questions like, what are you doing as an organization? Do you know how these work? This guy that you took was probably, I don't have it up on the screen, but he's top 80. You have a top 80 pick. There's a really high chance he's going to go to the majors. Not this kid who's not even ranked top 500. And listen, I'm no rankings expert. I don't watch a lot of college baseball, especially I don't watch high school baseball, and it's really difficult to scout baseball. So I just go off of what I'm reading. The kid could be good, but I think the Rangers really messed up when you had this really valuable draft pick and you just essentially threw it away. But that's just my thoughts on two of the lesser draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, for their sake, for their organization's sake, I hope I'm wrong and that they all make me eat my words and that they all turn out to be perennial all-stars.
They're going to win a World Series in a couple years. Look at the camera and go, Richie, this one's for you.
I hope so.
They'll win
Speaking of
MVP.
World Series, I want to show off my hat real quick. Gotta love it. You got George Washington popping a bottle. It is the Washington Senators, the Nationals minor league organization. If you guys ever need like a really fun, cool like baseball cap,
You haven't checked that out because I kind of want to look into them too.
Yeah, check out minor league caps. Just literally Google minor league baseball hats, and your world's gonna be blown. I went onto it on the website, and I almost bought 10 hats alone. I got a really, really cool what's the Mets team in Brooklyn? Why can't I think of the name?
Cyclones?
Thank you. Yeah, I got a really cool Brooklyn Cyclones one. It's white with lines going across, and it's a hot dog with like the old time vendor hats and stuff.
That's cool.
It's cool. It's fun. It's just a little bit too small, but they're fun hats. So if you guys want a fun hat for the summer, they got bright colors, they got regular colors, they got like old school hats. It's a real cool thing.
I'm gonna look into that because I want to get a cool hat.
Yeah, totally. But let's get to the some sad news of what happened.
Yeah. So look, we don't think there's gonna be a season this year, and that's not me and Richie saying no. There's no season. It's just the way things have been going the past couple weeks, and honestly, the past couple days, because a lot has been changing. Um, Rob Manfred, the commissioner, came out last week saying he 100% thinks there's going to be a season, and yesterday he came out saying, yeah, I don't really think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
And
I'll
that
give you.
actually upset a lot of fans and a lot of players. Now, a lot of players have reached out and said to Rob Manfred, the ball's basically in your court. Let us know when the season starts, where to meet, and how it's going to happen. And a lot of owners, there's 8 owners out of 30 teams now who are saying that they don't want the season to happen at all.
Yeah, I'll give you guys a quick, dirty rundown of what's been going on. So back in March, spring training was going on. Everything was happy. And then an NBA player tested positive for coronavirus. So every sports league in the world, well, in America, paused all their seasons, no matter where they were, except for football because it was the off season. Spring training was put on hold, and the players and the owners very shortly after agreed to a 50-50 revenue split, which essentially said that, okay, players, let's say we cut the season in half, you're going to get half your salary at the entire half. Like, don't worry about it. Players like, that makes sense. If we're only playing 82 games, we only deserve half paycheck. That's fair. Since then, there's been numerous negotiations back and forth with players offering 114 game season, owners offering 70 to 80 games, back and forth. And all the players want is to be paid for every game they play. And every time the owners come back and say, okay, well, we'll give you 70 games and we're going to give you 70% of that pay for that 70 games. So players are pissed. They're like, absolutely not. Why would we take anything less than the amount we agreed to? The owners are essentially reneging on their offer. Now, the owners also realized, okay, well, in the CBA, the commissioner has the power to mandate a shortened season, and the shortest amount he can mandate is a 48 game season. And the owners realized, okay, I'm just going to make up numbers because the numbers are really too big. Let's just say for 48 games, you realize that you would pay everybody $1 million and you wouldn't be losing any money. But if you played 114 games and you agreed to pay everybody their full salary, which was $10 million, you're losing $9 million. So the numbers are a lot bigger than that. But what the owners did was they said, okay, well, if we can only afford to pay $1 million without losing money, okay, we'll offer you like an 80 game season, but that's going to be 60% pay or 70% pay. The owners did it so they could cover their ass and they could say, okay, this is still going to be $1 million, but we're going to spread it out over a longer term and make it look like it's more money when it's really not. So the players aren't stupid. The Players Association is full of such smart lawyers and competent people who see what's going on. So players never agreed to any of this. Now it comes out that the MLBPA is furious because they knew all along the owners were going to just keep pushing this and pushing this. They wouldn't come to any kind of an agreement, and they would eventually get their 48 game season the owners want so that they can save money. And knowing that, the Players Association is like, no, you're negotiating in bad faith. You have no intention of coming to the negotiation table, actually negotiating a deal, and saying, okay, let's, come and meet in the middle. They had no desire to do that. So now, whether or not we have a season, whether it's 48 games or zero, the MLBPA is going to file a grievance. And essentially that means they're going to take the MLB to court, and the court's going to decide, okay, were you in good faith negotiating? If not, this is what you have to do, and you're in trouble now. So it looks like that's what's happening because in a letter, it was I forgot his name, but it was an LA Times sports writer yesterday. He tweeted out that the MLB sent a letter to the Players Association saying, listen, we'll give you a 48 game season, but the only way that's going to happen is if you agree to waive any future grievance against the MLB. The Players Association is never going to do that because the owners know what they did was wrong. They knew they had no intention to negotiate in good faith. They only wanted to do a 48 game season if they couldn't have fans in, and it's just sad. Like you said, Manfred came out last week and said 100% we're going to have baseball this year. And then yesterday, I don't think it's 100% we're going to have it. And the fact that that letter went out, if it's true, there's going to be no season. All the players at this point are just like, just tell us when to show up. what we want to play. Just tell us when and where to go.
Bryce Harper tweeted that.
Yeah, Brian, a few players did. It wasn't just him. Scherzer's pissed, and he has every right to be. Every player should be.
Honestly,
And
if I'm a player who only signed a year contract with a team or a team that I've been with a long time, like say like they re-signed me a year, I just signed a year with another team, I'm pissed off because if there's no season, then I have to sign with another team or negotiate a new contract with you.
I'm very interested to see how that's going to play out, though. I don't
Do
necessarily
you think that they're gonna say, "Oh, the contract didn't last 2020; it's gonna end of 2021"?
see. I don't see. That's what I don't know about yet. That I'm sure it says in the contract. It says for the 2020 season. There is no 2020 season. So what's going to happen is that going to get pushed a year because none of these players are getting paid.
Yeah,
No one's getting paid, so the contract hasn't been paid. So what's going to happen? Like look at
that's
Garrett
gonna be
Cole.
a whole big thing. If there's no season, it probably won't happen now. That's probably gonna happen during the winter meetings. It's
It's going to be a
it's gonna be
a
a whole
whole
big
mess.
mess.
Baseball dropped the ball, and they're taking a big black eye right now. And at first,
Doesn't
you could go back and forth, and you could argue, okay, maybe the players are in the wrong, maybe the owners are back and forth. But if you weren't on the player side to begin with, you are now because the owners ruined baseball for the year. And
and it's embarrassing as a fan to
yeah,
just
it's
see
so
your
embarrassing.
sport do that.
And it's really sad because there's nothing going on, and there's barely any. There's not barely. There's nothing. There's nothing happening. There's no football practices. There's no mini camps. NBA's maybe coming back because now the players are pissed off about the whole Black Lives Matter movement, and some of them don't want to play and they want to support that. So baseball really had a time to shine. They could have been like, okay, we're going to come back. We're going to be back July 1st. We're going to get the season going. We're going to be the only sport going, and people are going to be hyped. And they fucked up. I'm sorry. Excuse the language. Explicit. They messed up. They could have, brought in so many new fans, and the money they lost this year, they
They're gonna
would have
lose a lot.
made.
You're gonna lose a lot of fans.
Yeah. And
What I mean, not like fans not watching like at home. Like fans who are gonna want to come to the ballpark aren't. You're gonna lose revenue there.
yeah. And listen, I will say this. I mean, no matter what the league is, you're going to sell out games. Whether you got people who are against protest or people who don't want to come because of coronavirus, people who don't want to come because they're angry at the owners, people are still going to come. Yankee Stadium's still going to sell 40,000 plus tickets a day. I'm not worried about that. The owners are going to make their money back, and every team's upcharging everything next year. Ticket prices are going to be higher. Hot dogs are going to be more expensive. It's ridiculous, and it's just sad. But another reason that all the players, like everyone's probably like, well, why wouldn't the players just take the 70% to 80% of the deal? Like, okay, we get it, it's not the full amount, but that's still a lot of money. The problem with that is it opens Pandora's box. That the MLB is one of the only teams in the world, in America, that doesn't implement a salary cap.
Which
That
they
everything,
should.
what's up?
Which they should.
I don't know. Players they all work hard, and you look at some of the leagues where they do have a salary cap, and it's like look at basketball. You have these mega power teams, and it's like what
Yeah.
it doesn't make
Yes.
the sport fun. And but you say that look at the Yankees, they always sport a power team, and they have all this money. And for baseball, it is difficult because if you don't have a top market team, like you don't have the money. Like look at the Royals. Like we talked about it last week, the Royals couldn't afford to pay their players, where the Yankees could. So I don't know. I'm a fan of them not having the salary cap because I think it makes things a little bit more interesting. And I mean, with how players' deals have been in recent years, it's not possible for there to be a salary cap. I mean, you got Garrett Cole making how much? 340 million, something like that.
It's 326.
326. That's more than the cap space allotted to each NFL team. Like each NFL team, I think this year was like 200, 210 million. He's making more than the salary cap. But sorry, if the players gave in and they said, okay, we'll take 80%, now the owners have every bit of authority to come and say, okay, no, in the next CBA, we're putting in the salary cap and we're going to not pay you guys as much as you deserve.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a
I
mess.
think I
And
think we're. I know we said this last week, but I think this is the official week when we're gonna find out what's the final answer. I think it's gonna at this point. I think it's looking more towards us not having a season this year. But if Rob Manfred come out and save it, honestly, If it's 48 games, it's 48 games at this point. I'll take that over nothing, and just I wouldn't even do a playoffs at that. What's the point? Just
There's no
have a
point in
little fun
playoffs. It's
season,
just
and that's it.
it's a mess,
It's
and
a
I
whole
think
mess.
yesterday was really the nail in the coffin. And I think it was Pat McAfee, who, if you don't listen to Pat McAfee, everybody listen to his podcast. He is fantastic. Former Colts punter who decided to like retire at 30 and went to go with Barstool, and then he made his own brand, and he's awesome. I believe it was him. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was Jeff Passan of ESPN was saying that MLB is dead, and in order for it to come back, it has to be like a phoenix. It has to die and rise from its ashes. Um, Manfred has made a fool out of himself in the sport for the better part of this past year. I mean, I don't want to get into it too much, but I mean, you got the whole sign stealing scandal. He did terrible punishments. He can't decide what's happening with the league right now. Excuse me. Need water. Um, and now the possibility of covering up the Yankees, and there's even talk about him covering up HGH use by Trout. Um, he's been an awful commissioner. He needs to see the door, and if he doesn't, he needs to get a control on the league and really just use his authority and lock it up.
Yeah,
I think this might be the end of Manfred when his contract's up. I don't think we'll see him back as the commissioner.
definitely
Uh,
dropped the ball the past year and a half.
it's been bad. It's been really, really bad. And the sport that was finally coming back after the brutal 90s and early 2000s
The
with the steroid
'94 lockout.
allegations in the lockout. But between all that, the league was finally starting to look good. You had all these young players who were breaking records left and right, who were making the game fun. You have all these fun celebrations and handshakes, and they make the All-Star game fun, the home run derby fun, and
Yep.
they're making the game better. And now we're all deprived a year of that, and we don't really know when we're going to see it again, and it's really sad.
And you can't blame this on the coronavirus because yeah, it delayed the season the first 2 months, but it did not delay a whole season
Yeah,
at all.
there could have been a season. They had parameters set up in place for testing and no fan interaction and no fans in stadiums. They
But
had a whole
honestly,
thing set up, and it could have worked, and the owners just were too cheap.
it
And
was
as much
just
as
a
we want to
ticking
blame,
time bomb waiting to happen.
yeah, and listen, as much as we want to blame all of this on Manfred, it's really the owners.
Yeah.
The owners are cheap. These owners are multi-billionaires with money coming out of their ears, and they're refusing to pay for them pennies on the dollar. And it's really, really sad.
Before we end, I just want to say, unfortunate news that the former Cy Young Award winner just had my phone and now it went away. Perfect. Great. Hold on, I'll bring it back up. I just had it and it glitched out and went away. Former Cy Young Award winner Mike McCormack died age 81 of
Just say we have
Parkinson's
some good
disease.
news.
No, I said terrible news. Why would that be good
Oh,
news?
I
I
don't know. I
said
thought you said good news. I'm like, this is
no.
awful.
I said unfortunate news. I didn't say it's good news. He was a Giants pitcher in 1967 where he won the Cy Young Award. So, rest in peace. Still a great accomplishment though in your career to have a Cy Young Award. That's one of the highest awards as a pitcher to achieve during the season. So, but that does bring to conclusion of today's episode. Thanks for listening in or watching. If you're on YouTube right now, you check us out on Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
TikTok.
We did have a poll going last week of, who'd you rather have, Derek Jeter, Vlad Guerrero, or Pedro Martinez? Between those three, who'd you rather have on the Yankees? I did get a bunch of votes on Instagram for Derek Jeter. Couldn't get a poll on Facebook, but I know you had one on Twitter. Did you get any votes on it?
Yeah. Let me see what that actually finished at, because when I looked at it the other day, it was like 60%, 40%.
So I'm sorry, my mistake. I got 3 votes for the trade Jeter for Vlad Guerrero and Pedro, and 2 votes for Derek Jeter. So Instagram people voted for Derek Jeter to be traded to the Expos.
Wait, what? Traded to the Astros?
Expos.
Oh, Expos. Hold on. All right, we had 4 votes and it went 50-50.
All right,
2
so
for Jeter, 2 for Pedro and Vlad.
all right, so I guess we're never gonna know who who won that bet. I mean, we got an extra vote for Vlad and Pedro. But in the future, we'll try to do more polls. If you guys like it, let us know.
Yeah,
Let us know
guys,
what
like
kind
we
of
said,
polls you
check us
want us to
out.
vote
We're
for.
all over. We're Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere else you can find podcasts. We use Anchor, so our podcast is mainly put on Spotify, and hopefully soon it'll be on iTunes. But it's also on these really, really random websites that we've never heard of. But look them up and check us out
Yep. Check us out every week at 10:30.
every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. That's where the videos will be posted for our podcast. And like you said, through Anchor, it spreads out through a couple different streaming sites, but mostly Spotify right now, and Apple Music in the future to come.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.
Yeah. Peace.